Hello and welcome. You're watching Ask Profit on NDTV Profit with me, Somit Sarkar, and my co-anchor Ruja. Well, the market seems to be quite range-bound for the last 4 trading sessions. The Nifty is down around 0.3%. The small cap index is outperforming while the mid cap index is underperforming the benchmark.
Definitely, Somit. So again, this day seems like a bad one for the markets. The Nifty actually is below 22,500, and right now, as we speak, down about 0.3%. IT is the worst one, doing bad, 3.5% down, while those which are doing good, if we can pull up the sectoral heat map, we'll see Nifty, banking index, finance, auto, oil and gas are the ones in the green right now, but we have media, realty, pharma, PSU, metals, all in the red. Banking names as we go, yes, there you are, but let's also look at the advance decline ratio. Advance is to decline is 1:1.4%, but also let's look at the constituents which are driving the Nifty 50 index. Well, down in the red we have most of the IT, in fact all the IT names, Wipro, Infy, HCL, Tech, Mahindra are the ones which are weighing down heavily on the stock. But on the positive side, we have banking names. So it's banking versus IT in this day of trade. HDFC versus Kotak Mahindra. Tata Motors also doing well. Reliance after Jio announced its tie-up with Starlink. But also in case of the Nifty IT, as I mentioned, all the stocks in the red, including the top tier names, but the worst losing ones is Infosys, down about, Infosys and Wipro down about 5%, and those which are losing the least is TCS and Coforge. So definitely a bad day for markets.
Well, yes, the market's been dragged by the Nifty IT index, and let's welcome in our guest for the show today, Nirav Asher from Head of Equity Research, Latin Manharlal Securities, and on the technical side we have Vaishali Parekh, the Vice President Technical Research from Prabhudas Leathers. So starting off, the first query coming in from PK Mahapatra from Bhubaneswar. He has around 1,000 shares of Infosys purchased at a price of 1,270 rupees. He purchased these shares back in September 2021, and he wants to know when should he offload or sell these shares. So Nirav, coming to you first, how's Infosys looking like on the fundamental side?
Good morning and thank you for the invite. I think IT shares have been under a lot of pressure at this point of time, and this is purely attributed to the global scenario. And we have seen the frontline stocks, especially TCS, Infosys, bear the brunt in the markets. HCL Technologies has been doing reasonably well. I think the advice as far as Infosys is concerned, it's advisable to hold from a medium to long-term perspective, hope that the market conditions improve, which could have a positive bearing on the stock.
Vaishali, how's Infosys looking on the technical front?
Very good morning to all of you. So I think Infosys has come to a previous support, 1580 acts as a prominent support. So if this support breaks, then I think this can go further down towards 1520 to 1500 levels. So if, depending on the time horizon that he is trying to hold, if it's a trading strategy, of course, he needs to exit if the levels break. But if for a longer term perspective, I think the downside is limited.
Well, next up is a caller query. We have Ekam Barya from Hyderabad who's holding IRFC 300 shares at 160 a piece. Vaishali, what do you think about IRFC?
So IRFC, of course, this too has seen very good corrective move. And now I'm looking at the weekly chart. I think right from 220 to come to 50% erosion, and also sitting on a 100 period moving average. So I would say keep a stop loss of 108, and right through this can give a bounce up to 140 for now.
Thank you, Ekambaria, for calling us from Hyderabad. The next query is coming in from Bhaskar from Tamil Nadu. He wants to know whether is it a right time to buy Hindustan Copper. Nirav, any views on Hindustan Copper?
Well, at this point of time, metals have been a bit wobbly in trade, so I think it's better to keep away from Hindustan Copper for the time being.
Okay.
Okay, well, our next query is on Hindustan Copper. Okay, but I think we're done with that. Okay, let's also take a call on Dabur. We have a query who's asking about long-term outlook on Dabur, and he's also asking whether Dabur is looking good versus Marico. Vaishali, if you can take that.
So I think overall, I would say FMCG counter should be a safe haven right now. And even for a longer term perspective, we have seen good erosion. So I would say Dabur is good right now. But if you're asking me to compare between Dabur and Marico, I'll just have a look. I think Marico is in a better place stock. it is getting into a trend. So I would say that Marico can go into higher targets faster. So yes, that is the favorable pick, right?
Right, the next query is coming in from Bala Subramaniam from Pondicherry. He has around 950 shares of NHPC bought at a price of 88. He wants to know, Nirav, what should he do with this holding? Should he continue to hold this counter or exit at current levels?
Well, at current levels, it is advisable to hold from a medium to long-term perspective.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. We have another query which is coming in from Satya. He's asking about the long-term support and resistance for ITD cementation, and he's holding from 100, and he's also asking whether he should book any of those. So this seems to be on technical. So Vaishali, if you can take that over.
In my opinion, the stock is showing a lot of strength in spite of all the choppiness. And since a very long time, it is in a very long consolidation. So that implies that there is something really happening in the stock. So I would say keep 520, 510 as a support level. And since 2 days, we are seeing that there is some momentum setting in and good volume coming up as well. So for now, 560 acts as a hurdle. Once we see the stock moving above 560 and sustaining above, I think this could go towards 700 levels also in times to come. So in my opinion, this should be a hold.
Right. The next query is coming in from Ram Krishna Sagar from Bangalore. He's holding around 309 shares of Indraprastha Medical bought at an average price of 463. He wants to know whether is it advisable to hold this counter for long term. Nirav, have you tracked this counter, Indraprastha Medical, not chemical, sorry?
Yes, actually, there is a good, at this point of time, hospital stocks and healthcare related stocks have been the flavor of the markets. So I think it is advisable to hold Indraprastha Medical from a medium to long term perspective.
Right. On to an NDTV Profit exclusive. More rows was seen for IndusInd Bank. The Department of Finance, Financial Services under the Ministry of Finance has now taken stock of issues related to IndusInd Bank. Shrimi is joining us with more details on the same.
Yeah, so DFS has recognized the issue at IndusInd Bank, which mainly include accounting discrepancies, governance challenges, and the leadership concerns as well. What sources told us that the department is working closely with the central bank, the Reserve Bank of India, to examine the entire matter thoroughly. And the main concern is to sort of ensure the stability and integrity of the financial sector amid this entire challenges, to see whether it's not spreading across the sector or not. So the ministry is ensuring that. They are also sort of examining and trying to get a sense on the governance structure of the IndusInd Bank, and whether the leadership concerns is being addressed or not. So they are in touch with RBI is what source is telling us. And specific attention, I'm told, is given to the accounting practices to resolve if there is any irregularities there. And Department of Financial Services mainly checks the functioning of the banking system, is aiming to, of course, reassure the investors and public that necessary step will be taken to safeguard the interest of all stakeholders. So, in a nutshell, DFS is at this point, trying to sort of address this point, taking stock of this, and trying to sort of prevent and understand if there is a similar issue in the other lenders as well. So we are keeping a close watch on this ongoing development at the policy corridor, and we may see some review meeting also happening this week itself. Back to you.
Right. Thank you, for Shrimi, for that exclusive details coming in on IndusInd Bank. Well, Nirav, coming on to you, any views on the recent developments that have happened on IndusInd Bank? If any investor has been holding IndusInd Bank at higher levels, should he continue to hold on to this counter?
Well, initially the first thing that the first impressions among the investors was that it's available at a very, very reasonable valuation prior to these developments. And I think now that trust too has been broken. We have to understand that markets are very, very, very sensitive and unforgiving with respect to such developments. Now, yesterday, what has happened, we need to clearly evaluate whether this is a professional lapse or is it something which has been done out of some willful malpractices, etc. So I think apart from that, RBI will try to find out the systemic impact of this development on the other banks. And if I were to just recall, there was one private sector bank which had exposure to very toxic derivative instruments, and the stock was very badly punished by the markets, and it took several years to set the house in order. So I think this is something which we need to learn out of. And I think it will be a very uphill task as far as the IndusInd Bank is concerned, as far as the current developments go.
Okay, well, yes, that's the trending stock recovered 5% up over there. But we have a caller coming in, Sachin for Kerala on trend. Sachin, what's your query?
Yeah, my query is regarding a good level to enter trend. I feel it is a bit overvalued still, so I would like to know if more downside would come and what would be the correct level to enter trend, and then outlook for 1 year perspective.
Okay, for 1 year, I think, Nirav, I'll go to you for that.
This is for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I think Trent has a lot of growth potential going forward. So I think it's necessary to keep the faith. And stocks like Trent always have to be accumulated on dips. So the advice here is to start accumulating in dips with a medium to long-term perspective. We are already beginning to see some signs of life in consumption-based stocks. Yesterday, we saw Phoenix Mills move up in trade. We had ABFRL, which has started moving up in trade, and of course, Trend is also showing some good momentum.
Right. The next caller query is coming in from Dheeraj from Hyderabad. Dheeraj, good morning. Thank you for calling us. You can go ahead and ask your query now. Dheeraj, you can go ahead and ask your query.
Good morning, sir.
Right, Dheeraj.
My query is regarding Jupiter Wagons. Hello.
Yes, Dheeraj, you can go ahead and ask your query.
I'm holding 505 shares of Jupiter Wagons at 502 rupees apiece.
Right, and you want to continue holding this counter for long term?
Can I average its current levels, or should I exit the counter and shift to some other space for the next 6 months?
Right. Okay, for the next 6 months, then I'll come to you, Vaishali, for this query. Any views on the technical front when it comes to Jupiter Wagons? Should he average at current levels or exit?
No, I would not say exit because it's really beaten down and there's nothing wrong with the stock. So I would say wait for some time. Even if it dips up to 250, there's nothing much to worry about. 250 is a level to start averaging the stock if at all it does. And hold on, at least wait for a bounce up to 450. There we can have a relook.
Okay, well, thanks for that. Well, our next query is for Spandana Spurti. Here, our query is coming in as he is took the 23 quantity at 1010 a year back. He's asking for a long term here over there. Can he hold for 1 or 2 years? Whether he should average this one, as we can see, our viewer is around 17,000 loss. So 1 year or 2, Nirav, if you can give us a call.
Well, I advise to exit the position and go to a better quality NBFC, switch to a better quality NBFC, maybe a Bajaj Finance would serve the purpose.
Okay.
Right, the next query is coming in from Vijay Kirti from Tamil Nadu. He's holding 550 shares of REC. Currently, is incurring a loss of 32% on his holding. He wants to know whether should he book his loss and switch to any other good stock for long term. Nirav, any views on REC? Should he continue to hold with a loss of 30%? And if not, any other stock that you would recommend at the current levels?
Well, the loss is substantial, but I think it would be advisable to hold on to the position because power sector is doing quite well, and these two are apex agencies, Power Finance Corporation and Rural Electrification Corporation. So I think it's advisable to keep the faith and stay invested.
Okay, keep the faith and stay invested. That's the word that is coming in. But we have a caller query. Pawan from Bangalore. Please go ahead, Pawan.
Sir, I've bought Cochin Shipyard at 1302 for around 500 shares, probably at 6,51,000 or something. My query is, I am ready to hold it for this year end. Will I be able to get, will the stock be able to get somewhere near 1,700 or 1,800 is my query. And when will this bear market end? That's my...
So that's a very difficult call to say, but yes, let's go on to Nirav. 1 year perspective, around 13,000 loss. What do you suggest?
I would advise you to widen your horizon a bit because market conditions have not been exactly very good, and I think there's a lot of pressure on margins. Executions have slowed down a bit, so it might take a little bit more time to reach that kind of return trajectory which you are expecting. But I think it's advisable to hold with a slightly more horizon.
Right. The next caller query is coming in from Dinesh Dua from New Delhi. Dinesh, good morning. Thank you for calling us. You can go ahead and ask your query now.
Good morning. Thanks for getting me on the channel. I bought 50 shares of Coforge about 2 months ago at the rate of 9,000. The share went up significantly for the first 1 week, but then thereafter there was a big meltdown. I'm currently suffering a loss of 81,000 rupees. Should I sell it and arbitrage it for some other shares, or should I hold on as a long-term investor?
Right. Nirav, any views on Coforge? Should Dinesh continue to hold the 50 shares of Coforge that he's holding, or should he exit and buy some other stock?
Yes, I think you should hold on to the position. I know that the losses are quite high, but I think it's important to keep the faith and hold on from a medium-term perspective.
Okay. Next one is on PB Fintech. Actually, our viewer is asking, how does PB Fintech look on charts? Currently, he's not bought any of the stock. But Vaishali, how are technicals looking like in this one?
So technically, we have been seeing a good consolidation. 1350 acts as a good support. So unless and until we see the stock moving above 1500 levels, I would say it's a sideways move. Keep 1350 as support and 1500 as resistance. So anywhere close to support, you can go and buy the stock and wait for a resistance of 1500 to be crossed. There could be a confirmation of a further upside.
Right. The next query is coming in from Satish from Chennai. He wants to know the long-term view on Dalmia Bharat. He's currently holding 50 shares of this company, bought at a price of 1,885. Nirav, any views on Dalmia Bharat?
Well, yes, this company is amongst the lowest cost producers of cement in the country, and I think with the prospects of the cement sector slowly improving, I think it's advisable to hold.
Okay. Our next is a caller query. Kumar from Tamil Nadu. Hi, Kumar. What's your query on?
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for accepting my call.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, I bought a Bharat Electronics shares, 500 shares of 283 rupees.
Okay.
So last week. So I'm looking for a short term. So whether the fall will go up or down, I want to know. Like, what will be the short term perspective? What will be the target price I can wait for? So just want to know about this.
Okay, a short-term perspective on this one. Vaishali, what's your take? Our viewer seems to be in around 300 rupees of a loss. What's your take?
Sure. So short-term 280, 290 acts as a resistance and 260 acts as a support. So upside is limited from here on because he has bought it much higher in this market. So I would say keep a stop loss of 260 to hold for 280, 290.
Right. The next query is coming in from Kumar from Visakhapatnam. He's holding 1100 shares of Heritage Foods, bought at an average price of 330 rupees per share. He wants to know whether should he continue to hold this counter or exit at current levels. He can hold the counter for the next 3 to 4 years. Nirav, have you tracked Heritage Foods?
Yes, I think basically dairy stocks have been in flavor. The prices of milk products have been going up consistently. Value-added products have also been doing quite well. So I think the Heritage Foods has got very good long-term prospects. So it's advisable to hold.
Okay, our next one is a caller query. Sandeep from Hyderabad. Hi, Sandeep. Good morning. Go ahead with your query.
Hi, Risha. This is Sandeep. I'm from Hyderabad. I'm holding 13,000 shares of Canara Bank at 86.5. So the Canara Bank is consolidating at 82, 83 levels. I just wanted to understand whether there is a possibility for the next up move in next 3 to 6 months.
Okay, next 3 to 6 months is the horizon that Sandeep is looking forward to, loss of around 48,000. Okay, so what do you suggest, Vaishali? Are the technical charts indicating a hold or a sell?
So right now the stock is of course in a downtrend, but near-term support is 80 and 78 would be the final support. So I would say, well, there is a lot of panic. It is not a trader's market right now. If you are having 3 to 6 months, kindly hold for some time. There could be some stability in times to come, and let's wait for a bounce. Right now, it is not a time stipulated market. You have to wait for market to stabilize.
The next caller query is coming in from Paramjeet from Himachal Pradesh. Paramjeet, thank you for calling us. You can go ahead and ask your query.
I'm having 400 shares of landmark cars at the rate of 421.
Right, and you want to, yeah, please go ahead.
Long term as well as short term view.
Okay, Nirav, coming to you first. What's the long term view when it comes to landmark cars?
The Landmark Cars is one of those few companies which are related to the auto sector, and they are exclusive franchisees for a lot of companies. So in a way, it is a kind of a concept stock. So I think one should hold with a medium to long term horizon. Valuations seem to be pretty reasonable at this point of time.
Right, and Vaishali, how's landmark cars looking like on charts?
So we have seen good erosion, like the recent high was 660 and from here on it's consolidating at 400. So I would say keep 400 as final support to ride the stock, and maybe in good times we may see a bounce at least to start with for 520, 550. So 400 should act as a support.
That was the view coming in when it comes to landmark cars. With that, let's slip into a short break and we'll address move your queries post that.
Very warm welcome to you all for this NDTV Profit conclave, which is themed on Viksit Bharat.
A life which is both taking care of your material needs and taking care of your altruistic needs. That will be the true definition of Viksit Bharat.
Actually, instead of Viksit Bharat, we should call it Re-Viksit Bharat.
Headlines you start your day with. What matters worldwide is now in the palm of your hands. Get ready to seize the day and maximize your financial potential. Stay ahead of the curve with all you need to know on NDTV Profit.
Very warm welcome to you all for this NDTV Profit conclave, which is themed on Viksit Bharat.
A life which is both taking care of your material needs and taking care of your altruistic needs. That will be the true definition of Viksit Bharat.
Actually, instead of Viksit Bharat, we should call it Reviksit Bharat.
Headlines you start your day with. What matters worldwide is now in the palm of your hands. Get ready to seize the day and maximize your financial potential. Stay ahead of the curve with all you need to know on NDTV Profit.
Very warm welcome to you all for this NDTV Profit Conclave, which is themed on Viksit Bharat.
A life which is both taking care of your material needs and taking care of your altruistic needs. That will be the true definition of Viksit Bharat.
The market.
Welcome back. It's time for NDTV Profit Deep Dive, and we'll talk about a stock that has caused a lot of pain to investors in the last 3 months. Well, I'm talking about Vascon. It has dropped over 35% in 2025 due to various issues. Anushi, who tracks this closely, joins in with more details.
Right, thanks for that, Richa. So if you look at what's happening at Vascon and Engineer, despite the kind of correction that we've seen in markets, there are a couple of points that we would like to highlight as to what is happening with Vascon Engineers. Firstly, if you look at the stock price, it did hit a 52-week high of about 84 rupees in July 24. But from then on, from those peak levels, we've seen a 60% of a correction from its 52-week high if you take the current stock price in consideration. But let's look at the overall picture, the company's fundamentals to see how that is shaping up. So the business has divided into two segments, which is mainly the real estate and the EPC segment. So if you look at the order book of the company, so in order book was about 2,109 crore, which was about 4 times its revenue. Book-to-bill ratio was in that range. We've seen that in FY22, FY23, there was growth coming in terms of where the orders were with about 2.8 times and 2.1 times the ratio. In 9-month picture, we are seeing an order book of 3,179 crore. Last 2 periods, we are seeing almost 1,026 crore, the revenue figure that we are looking at. It's based on the last 12 months trailing figure as we speak. So it's 3.1 to 3.2 times is the kind of book-to-bill ratio that we see for the company. But let's focus on the real estate, on where is that happening. So what has happened is that in so far the year, the company has recognized lower revenue in their real estate business as the company follows a percentage completion method. So that is where, and this is on account of several clearance issues which have been highlighted by the company, because of which there's lower revenue recognition. However, for FY26, they are seeing acceleration going forward for this in terms of where the real estate business is concerned. But to just get a segmental revenue breakup, so now because of the percentage completion method, we do see an overall changing mix between the real estate, EPC and the GMP. GMP is their subsidiary in which now they have divested their stake. So while it contributed to around 27 to 28% of stake in FY21 to 23 periods, from FY24, from this 9-month figure, we are not looking at a mix, as the company by the quarter end has now divested their stake in the company, and currently about 4% of their business is from the real estate so far, and 96% from EPC, which is in a sharp contrast to the 65% and 9.5% of mix that we'd seen earlier. In fact, if you look what is happening, the company, well, earlier they had said that, they'll be exceeding their revenues in terms of FY25. Now they maintain that the revenues for the fiscal would be in the similar range. So we have seen that despite the divesting stake in GMP Technical Solutions, from which they will get a consideration of about 155 to 157 crore, now the revenues for this year would be the same as last year before, without the subsidiary being there as well. But it's from FY26 onwards that we can see this number moving upwards. So even if you look at the margin picture, so now again, because the revenue recognized was lower this year, we are seeing at a negative margin of about 19% as compared to 25% last year. So there is a fluctuation in margins as we speak, but in EPC the margins have remained more or less stabilized around 10%. But let's point out the key concerns which are there on the street and why this is happening. So firstly, on the revenue bit, if we see, the first guidance given was to exceed the 1053 crore mark, and they said that FY25 would be a much better year than FY24. But now they maintain that the numbers, considering what has happened in the first 3 quarters, now the numbers would remain more or less in the FY24 range. Even the company was earlier coming up with a QIP till the first quarter onwards to invest those proceeds into their real estate projects. But now the board has put that approval on hold because of the market conditions which are shaping up, and the management does not want to dilute his stake in these prices which are currently going on. So for that reason, they are going to be raising short-term debt for the following and would be growing from that onwards. However, on the management view forward for the company, they expect a 20% growth in the EPC business for the next 3 to 4 years. Along with that, they see a 1,500 crore of a potential in revenue for the next 3 to 5 years onwards. Now, if we consider the FY24 figure, that already stands at about 1,000 crore. So while there was growth earlier, we are seeing this number going down slightly in terms of where the percentage is concerned. Also, they are eyeing to raise about 125 crore through debt now as compared to QIP, which was the plan earlier. Coming to some of the key concerns which are now going to be mentioned, firstly is the real estate business, in which we saw lower revenue sales. Along with that, another factor is the QIP plans which have not now been put on hold. So the question is on the short-term debt and what the debt picture is going to be forward for the company. So this is one concern. Another one is so far we've seen about 500 crore of order inflows being achieved for the company. So the emphasis falls on the fourth quarter to achieve the target of 1,000 crore that they have given. So fourth quarter is a significant one in terms of the order guidance for the EPC business. That is their concern. And along with this, there are some environment clearance issues that they are facing in the state of Maharashtra, which is the segment in which they want to proceed in real estate segment going forward. So if the environment clearance clearances do not flow for the company, the recognition or the revenue and the launch pipeline they have would be affected for FY26 onwards as well. So if these points are in consideration, then these are some of the key concerns which are seen by the street, and this is the overall picture that we are looking for Vascon Engineers.
Well, thank you, Anushi, for that detailed. Now, to know more about the company, stay tuned into our flagship research show, Know Your Company, at 11:30 today. We speak to Siddharth Murthy, the Managing Director of Vascon Engineers. Well, moving on and taking our next query on the show, it's from Rohit. He's a long-term investor. He has around 900 shares of IDFC First Bank, bought at a price of 72 rupees. He wants to know, can he average these shares today? And also he wants to know whether is it a good time to buy VST Industries. Nirav, coming to you firstly, what's your view when it comes to IDFC First Bank? Should he buy more at current levels to average the share price?
No, it's not advisable to average at this point of time, and just stick to the original holdings. And as far as VST Industries is concerned, yes, it's a compelling buy at these levels.
Well, thank you so much for that. Let's move on to our next query. Our viewer has 5,500 shares of Munjal Auto and an average price of 60 rupees. He's not mentioned the kind of tenure, but I'll go to you, Vaishali. What do you think about this one?
You're asking me about Munjal Auto. So I think, actually, all these stocks have really got a good beating. And currently, they are just in oversold zone. So I think now the downside is quite limited, but I would say keep a stop loss of 65, because that was the recent low that this stock had witnessed. And I think there can be a possibility of a bounce coming up to 80, 85.
Right. The next caller query is coming in from V. Murli from Bangalore. He wants to know whether is it... Okay, actually, V. Murli, you can go ahead and ask your query.
Yeah, good morning, sir. Thank you for taking up my query. I want to buy at today's rate of 4,435 TCPL Packaging Limited, which is doing extremely well, even in when the poly packaging industry is undergoing some slowdown the last 2 years. Okay? And it is in the Chennai plant has been commissioned recently on board. Can I go ahead and invest today, at least with 12 to 15 months view?
Right. And how did you come up with TCPL packaging?
I am observing this in 78 rupees for for many years.
Right.
But the growth is phenomenal. The last 1 year it has doubled. It's unbelievable. I didn't believe in the story initially compared to Polyflex and other things. But this company seems to be doing differently.
Okay.
So I thought whether I can venture it.
Right. So Nirav, coming to you with right. So Nirav, coming to you with TCPL packaging, the stock has already doubled in the last 1 year. Do you see more value at current prices?
Well, I think we've seen a fast and furious growth in the company, and I think what happens is that when there is such fast growth, markets try to discount a lot of things way ahead in advance. So they would already be starting to look at FY27, FY28 earnings and discounting the same. So I think it's always advisable to go a little slow, wait for a correction in the stock, and then only enter with a medium to long term perspective.
Okay, well, thanks for that. Our next query is coming in from Dinesh. He's asking on Steel Authority of India. He is already holding 500 quantity at 96 and standing around 5,000 of profits. But he's asking whether he should add more pieces or not. So what's your take, Vaishali, on this one?
I won't say add right now because market is just somehow holding on. There is no clarity that we have bottomed out. But I would say, wait for some stability and no problem adding at higher levels. But right now, in all likelihood, it can retest 100 levels. So, well, that would be the level to average out.
Right. The next caller query is coming in from Atul from Mumbai. Good morning, Atul. Thank you for calling us. You can go ahead and ask your query now.
Yeah, hi, good morning. Thank you. I have some shares accumulated for Larsen and Toubro, around 148 of them. I accumulated since 2020. My average price is 1769.38. My question is, what should be my approach to hold these shares or to buy or to book some profit? What will be your guidance on that?
Right. And if you want to hold this counter, then how long can you hold it?
I can hold for another 6 months to 1 year time frame, should not be an issue.
Right. Vaishali, coming to you first, do you see any upside when it comes to L&T for the next 6 months on charts?
The trend is down right now. So I think it is just a range of 3,000 to 3,200. So I would say no harm booking partial profit. And if it gets lower, you can add.
Nirav, what would be your view when it comes to L&T from long-term perspective?
Well, stocks like L&T are not meant to be sold. So I think if you don't need the liquidity, it's better to hold on.
So much for that. Our next query is from Dharma from Andhra Pradesh. His query is on Praj Industries. He owns about 82 shares at 615 rupees, and he's asking an outlook for the stock as well as the sector, and it's a bit of a long-term horizon, 2 to 3 years in terms of fundamentals. Nirav, this one is for you then.
Well, very strong and exciting prospects as far as Praj Industries is concerned, but the stock has been going through a bit of a downturn in the current down cycle. So advisable to start accumulating on dips with a medium to long term perspective.
Right. The next caller query is coming in from Krishna from Kerala. Krishna, you can go ahead and ask your query.
Yes, sir. I'm holding CDSL, quantity of 500.
Right.
And I bought it at an average price of 1157. So I want to know both the short term and the long term perspective.
Right. Vaishali, coming to you first. What's a short term view when it comes to CDSL?
1050 is the near term support, but I think it can go to 950. That would be the level, and I think that would be the level that you should start buying, adding more.
And Nirav, how's CDSL looking from long term view?
Well, it is a portfolio stock and it should be accumulated on dips.
Right.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Our next query is from Chandan Jain, and he's asking on BSC. If BSC is the one which has been very volatile over the last couple of sessions, our viewer is a long-term investor. He is actually looking forward for a long-term perspective. BSC at 2,600 is what he's bought, around 85 shares, and good amount of profits over here. So, what do you think of this one, Nirav?
Keep the original holdings and keep accumulating the stock on dips. Keep averaging on dips.
Okay, averaging on dips. Vaishali, quickly over to you on this one.
So I would say, well, the trend has been weakened. It was a sell call from our side for 3,800 levels. The target has been met with, but if it sees further erosion, I think it can go towards 3,300. That is the level to add more.
Right, the next query is coming in from Harshad Parekh, and it's on Jyoti CNC. He wants to know whether one should average this counter at current levels. He hasn't mentioned how many stocks he holds, but any long-term view on this, Nirav, Jyoti CNC?
Well, the company is quite good, but the valuations are very, very stretched. So I would not advise averaging at this point of time.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that. Now, next query is from Girish. He's a long-term investor. He's recently bought Gujarat Pipavav Ports at 143 on the basis of healthy valuations. He's bought about 300 quantity, and he's asking whether it is a good buy for the long term. Nirav, if you can answer this one, please.
Yes, the company has embarked upon an expansion program also. So GPPL looks very good. Gujarat Pipavav Port, it looks quite good from a medium to long term perspective.
Right, the next caller query is from Ujjwal from Patna. Ujjwal, thank you for calling us. You can go ahead and ask your query.
Hi, good morning. Actually, I need fundamental view on Nestle India as well as Hindustan Unilever Limited. Which one is the best?
Any one stock, Ujjwal. Which would it be? MapMy India or HUL?
HUL.
From long-term perspective?
Yes, from long-term perspective. For 1 year, 1.5 years.
Right. Nirav, is it a good time to buy HUL for the next 15 months?
I think volume growth has been a challenge for Hindustan Unilever Limited. So I think one can consider the competitors who are more entrenched in the rural markets, who have more exposure towards the rural markets. I think limited volume growth would restrict HUL for the time being.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Our next query is for IOL Chemicals. Well, the stock is our viewer has not mentioned the kind of quantity that he is holding, but he's asking, even he's not mentioned whether long term or short term, but he still holds 500 shares, 68 rupees after the split. So can he still hold, or should he book? Vaishali, if you can answer this one.
The trend is definitely down, but I think it's already seen good erosion. Again, keep a stop loss of 58 and hold.
And Nirav, if you can answer this one, please, since our viewer has not mentioned the horizon.
Well, I think this is a raw material intensive industry, and I think the margins could fluctuate or remain volatile on a quarter-on-quarter basis. But for the time being, it is advisable to hold.
Right. The next query is coming in from Anil from Jalandhar. He's a senior citizen and a retired banker. He wants to know whether can BL be a wealth creator if held for the next 3 years. Nirav, any view on Bharat Electronics?
I think I would not be sure whether it will be a big wealth creator, but I think it can be a slow and a consistent performer going forward.
Right.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that. Our next query is from Rahul from Chandigarh, and he's asking long-term view on Yes Bank. He holds about 1,134 shares of Yes Bank at 17 rupees. Largely, the stock is trading at 16.2. But what's your view on this one, Vaishya? Actually, long-term view, Sunirav.
I think it's advisable to exit the counter and go in for better options. Something like a Federal Bank or IDBI Bank would serve the purpose.
Right. The next query is coming in from Balaji from Chennai. He has around 200 shares of Manali Petrochem bought at a price of 92. He wants to know whether should he average this counter at current levels or just wait or just book losses. He can continue to hold this counter for the next 6 months. Vaishali, any view on Manali Petrochemicals?
I think the stock is consolidating, so I think it's exhausted with the selling thing. So I would say hold on and probably can add more at these levels because once the stock starts moving, we can see a bounce coming towards 75. So that would be a good view right now to buy.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Moving on to our next query. Queries from Shabina from Tamil Nadu. She holds about 70 shares of VIP Industries at a price of 585 over there, and she's facing about the loss of 20,000. So she's asking whether she should hold, sell, or average this one. Long-term view. So Nirav, over to you.
Well, VIP has been going through a tough phase during the last couple of quarters, but it's advisable to hold and not average. Yeah.
Right. The next caller query is coming in from KBS Raju from Hyderabad. Good morning, Mr. Raju. Thank you for calling us. You can go ahead and ask your query.
Yes, sir. I KBS Raju from Hyderabad. Hello.
Right. You can you go ahead and ask your query?
Yes, sir. KBS Raju from Hyderabad. I have shares of Kotak Bank with 1645, 700 shares. Can I sell today at the rate of 2,000 rupees?
Right. Okay. Vaishali, coming to you. Should Mr. Raju sell the Kotak Mahindra Banks today?
I think it's on the verge of a breakout. So wait for 2050. It can go towards 2050. Hold with a trailing stop loss and go for a target of 2050.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that. Our next question is coming in from Hemant from Tirupati, Andhra Pradesh. He is liking to know a technical view. So this one is for you, Vaishali, for HEG. He's bought about 100 shares at the price of 615 rupees, please.
So HEG right now we are seeing there is some bounce back coming in. Near-term resistance comes at 440. So that would be the level to watch. Once it moves above that, then I think it's ready for a recovery. It could go towards 500 levels also. So hold for now.
Right. The next query is coming in from Vinay from Bangalore. He has 32 shares of Bharti Airtel bought at a price of 854. He wants to know whether should he add more at current levels or exit the counter. If he can continue to hold the shares for the next 6 months or next 1 year. Vaishali, what is your view when it comes to Bharti Airtel?
So Bharti has been doing very well over the years. It has totally been unaffected by the market whipsaws. According to me, the way it's going, we have a projected target of around 1800, 1850. And so for now, I would say hold, keep a stop loss of 1600, and I think you will get higher returns.
Okay, next question is from Vipul from Ahmedabad. He's holding shares of Varun Beverages, 70 shares at a price of 657. He's asking for a long-term view. Nirav, what's your view on this counter?
Well, it's been a disappointment, but I think currently rolling around 480 levels, but the prospects seem to be good. They have embarked upon an expansion plan, so I think he can attempt to average some quantity at these levels.
Queries coming in from Sahil from Haryana. He has 135 shares of Infosys bought at an average price of 1,342. Given the fact that we are seeing a sharp decline in Infosys, he wants to know whether he should continue to hold this counter exit. Nirav, any views?
Well, I think in the case of Infosys, it is advisable to hold, not make any fresh purchases or not to average at this point of time, but hold with a medium-term horizon.
Okay, our next one is a caller query. Mukund from Bangalore joins in with a query on Sonara Software. Hi, Mukund, please go ahead. Mukund, please go ahead with your query. Okay, I guess he's not connected, but his query was on Sonara Software. He's holding about 430 shares at 560 per piece. Whether he should hold or book the kind of loss that is popping up on the screen. What's your take, Nirav?
Well, it's advisable to hold for the time being because the software sector has been going through its challenges, but it's advisable to hold.
With this, we start our rapid fire show. I would request both our guests to answer the queries quickly on this one. So starting first with Jiffin, he wants to know what are the long-term prospects for MTAR Technologies. Nirav, should he hold or buy MTAR Tech?
Hold.
Right, the next query is from Tom Varghese. He has 200 shares of Power Grid. He at about a 358 price. He wants to know whether should he continue to hold this counter for the next 6 months. Vaishali, any view on this?
I would say hold.
The next query is from Raju. He has 700 shares of Kotak Bank, bought at a price of 1,645. He wants to know whether should he sell this counter today. Vaishali, any view on this?
If it's for today, as I mentioned, keep a stop loss and go for 2050.
The next query is from Rajendra from Chennai. He has 100 shares of Indigo Paints, bought at a price of 1,580. He wants to know whether should he buy more or exit. Nirav, any views on this?
Buy more.
Right, the next query is from Kanak Kothari from Ahmedabad. He has 3,500 shares of Engineers India, bought at a price of 175 rupees. Sell or hold, Nirav?
Hold.
Right, the next query is from Venkat from Hyderabad. He has 300 shares of Zaggle, bought at a price of 407. He can hold the shares for the next 2 to 3 years. Nirav, what should he do?
He should hold.
Right, the next query is from John from Chennai. He has 100 shares of TVS Supply Chain, bought at a price of 179. Vaishali, should he hold or add more of this counter at current levels?
TVS Supply, sorry, I'm not tracking.
Okay, the next query is from Ritesh. He's sitting on a 50% loss on Tanla. Nirav, any views on this counter from long-term perspective?
Well, I think it's advisable to hold.
Right, the next query is from Yash from Hyderabad. He has 150 shares of Union Bank of India at 122. He wants to know whether should he add more at current levels. Vaishali, what's your view here?
Add it around 108, 110.
Right. Well, thank you, Vaishali, and thank you, Nirav, for joining us on this Ask Profit edition. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Ask Profit. Stay tuned and keep watching NDTV Profit.
Very warm welcome to you all for this NDTV Profit Conclave, which is themed on Viksit Bharat.
A life which is both taking care of your material needs and taking care of your altruistic needs. That will be the true definition of Viksit Bharat.
Actually, instead of Viksit Bharat, we should call it Re-Viksit Bharat.
Headlines you start your day with. What matters worldwide is now in the palm of your hands. Get ready to seize the day and maximize your financial potential. Stay ahead of the curve with all you need to know on NDTV Profit.
Very warm welcome to you all for this NDTV Profit Conclave, which is themed on Viksit Bharat.
A life which is both taking care of your material needs and taking care of your altruistic needs. That will be the true definition of Viksit Bharat.
पाहू.
Actually, instead of Viksit Bharat, we should call it Reviksit Bharat.
Headlines you start your day with. What matters worldwide is now in the palm of your hands. Get ready to seize the day and maximize your financial potential. Stay ahead of the curve with all you need to know on NDTV Profit.
Very warm welcome to you all for this NDTV Profit Conclave, which is themed on Viksit Bharat.
Hello and welcome. This is KYC, a show designed to show, this is KYC, a show designed to give regular investors powerful, actionable insights into the fundamentals of a single NSE listed company every single day. Well, today we're talking about a micro cap. This company has a market capitalization of less than 1,000 crores, but there's been a lot of chatter around Vascon Engineers. That's what we're going to talk about today. Now, as I was mentioning, that this one is engaged in the engineering, procurement and construction of real estate construction and development. And it's executed about 220 projects already at the moment, with construction of area of nearly 45 million square feet. In fact, being in focus when it comes to the real estate sector, we've seen a little bit of volatility with respect to the traction and the business for the entire sector. And on account of that, Vascon Engineers is no different. We're going to talk about that in a lot more detail, but for now, it does have real estate projects in key markets like Pune, Nashik and Coimbatore. And moving on, of course, we also have focus in mid-range housing projects. As far as its overall revenue breakup is concerned, in a 9-month basis, we have about nearly 96% of the revenues of the company coming in from engineering, procurement and construction, and the balance coming in from real estate. But do remember, as my colleague Anushi has also pointed out, that it's real estate and the contribution to the real estate sector has been volatile, which is why, at least for the 9-month basis, it's a relatively smaller one, but otherwise it could potentially be slightly larger. That said, as usual, what we do is that we consider all the companies and we actually take them and rate them on several parameters. So we talk about the fundamentals of the company, we talk about the income statement, we talk about the order flows and the order book, the balance sheet, of course, along with that, the cash flows too. And of course, moving on, we also will talk about the shareholding, street credentials and valuation picture, not to forget the outlook. And the reason why we wanted to mention the outlook here is because it becomes a little bit more important with respect to what the company has said very recently. There are a lot of clarifications, and given the size of the company, there naturally will be a lot of volatility coming through. So we'll talk about all of that. But on that note, let me welcome in my colleague Anushi Vakharia, who's also going to join us and shed more light into the company itself. So Anushi, thank you for joining. Let's start by taking a look at the income statement. Some very interesting set of parameters here.
Right. So if you look at always on the income statement side, if you look at the revenue of the year in the last 3 periods, we've seen at a good pickup in terms of where the growth is. In fact, the 3-year revenue CAGR stands at about 28% for the company. FY24, the revenue stood at about 1,053 crore. And this was with their subsidiary contribution as well, which is GMP, from which now the company has divested its stake. So going forward for FY25, now they are guiding that the FY24 number, FY25 revenue